One sketchbook is already finished with many projects, so I'm going to start a new one today. Today I'm going to paint a tree, pine tree, in very easy and loose style. Hi friends, I'm Olga Koelsch, watercolor artist, teacher and a book author. Welcome to my studio. I will create my mix using burnt sienna. I prepare nice, creamy, bright mix. I'm going to paint now the most thick part of the trunk. So I just apply my brush and add some wiggling moves to my hand, like this, and bring the trunk down. And at the same time I would like to add one more big branch. I will make it slightly different and more dramatic than I see on the reference, but the moves are again the same, pretty quick, uneven, and I'm going to make it more uneven in a moment because I will use now ultramarine blue. I will mix it a little bit with the same burnt sienna, get this grayish color, and I will add a lot of dark spots on the trunk, wet and wet, like this. I look at my reference for an inspiration, maybe to imitate some shapes. For example, I see there is a nice smaller branch coming like this to the left and then make a curve and then grows up. I can also add a little bit of branches, smaller branches on the top. Right here we can see, and always emphasize a little bit the curves, the breaks of the shape, like this. I hold my brush to the very top. That allows me to create pretty quick brush strokes like this. Now I can add a couple of smaller brush strokes just with the rib of this flat brush. If you do not have flat brush like this, round brushes will also do the job. Now let's work a little bit on the trunk while it is still wet. I can add some salt. It will help us to create nice texture. I can also use dry brush strokes. I can remove excess water with the help of paper towel, and holding my brush almost flat, to almost in parallel to the surface of the paper, I can add some dry brush strokes like this. Same here. I can use my paper towel also for lifting up some paints. And now we get uneven, nice texture on the trunk. You can always add a little bit more accents if you feel like you would like to. I would like to add a couple of darker shadows for the contrast. I have a number of different green paints in this palette. One of them is cobalt green, and it mixes with leftovers of my burnt sienna on the brush. It will get me exactly right color for pine tree, for the pine tree. I remove excess water on the paper towel, and I will start to create the greenery part. I hold my brush onto the top. That allows me to create very dynamic brush strokes. I just have to keep in mind how these pine needles, pine parts grows on the tree. So I try to make my movements sharp, quick. And I would like to vary a little bit the colors. I will add yellow ochre to the mix to make it a little bit more on the yellow olive side, adding more accents. Drier brush stroke, a couple of smaller, more defined brush strokes. Basically, I just tip in the paper with the rib of my flat brush, and that creates all these needle texture. Not so much, some accents. And now let's get something darker. The same Viridian and burnt sienna, like this. I would also like to add a little bit, couple of brush strokes using more bluish color, ultramarine blue, to get the reflections of the sky very diluted somewhere in between, like this. A little bit of sky. Now I will switch to my smaller brush and I will start to work on the details. In this area it feels a little bit lonely. I can add small branch like this one. And smaller branch. I hold my brush on the very top and paint just with the tip of the brush, and that allows me to create these uneven, very spontaneous brush strokes around. Sun shines from right side, therefore I can create more darker accents on the opposite part. Now as an accent I will use my dark mix, pretty bold, and I will add a couple of very defined bold brush strokes imitating these pine tree details. Some brush strokes around that will help to shape it more, like this. As a final touch, we can also add a little bit of background to set up our tree on some place, so to say, like this. A bit of shadows in the very bottom. Let's remove the tape. Once the salt dried, you can remove it and see at this beautiful texture we got thanks to that, and our pine tree is ready. Thank you so much for painting with me. I hope you enjoyed the process. I'm looking forward to know what would you like to paint next. See you soon. Bye bye.